The prices of many sports cards have been falling down and down and down some more. Today, I talk about why, and more importantly, what I think the future will hold. My name is Jeff Wilson. By day, I invest in tech companies, and at night, I invest in sports cards. Join me on my journey to profit from the hobby we all love. Hello, sports card investors, and welcome to a sobering episode today. An episode where we've got to tackle a topic that is not very fun to talk about, and that is the fact that sports card prices across much of the hobby have been dropping, and they have been dropping hard the last few months. We have seen big falls in the prices of many cards. Not every card, but many cards across the sports card hobby. And it's not what we're used to, because for the last couple of years on this show, there's been many episodes where I've got to talk about cards going up and up and up and up and up and up. However, the last few months, more cards, many more cards have been going down than up. So we need to dive into it. We need to look at the data. We need to understand what is going on, and most importantly, where things may go from here. And that is what today's episode is all about. And today's episode is brought to you by eBay, your #1 spot for cards and collectibles. With the largest inventory of sports cards from basketball to soccer and buyers from all over the globe, eBay is the leading place to buy, sell, and invest your cards. Okay, so even though we have a serious topic to cover during today's episode, I wanted to start with some positive news. In fact, some really great news. For the last several months, my team at Sports Card Investor has been working extremely hard to build a dedicated app just for market movers. And this thing is available now, and it is awesome. And here's the best part. We're making it available for free for everybody to try. So even if you're not a Market Mover subscriber, you can still run a few searches a day on the app just to see the extent of our card database and the extent of data that we are tracking every single day. The app has tons and tons of cards, tens of thousands of cards for you to look up the daily price changes of, and it's an incredible way to track your collection on the go from anywhere. And it's available right now. Go into the App Store on your Apple device and search for Market Movers. If you have an Android device, sit tight for just a few more days, because the Android version of the app will be out within the next week. I'm extremely excited to deliver that to you, and I think you guys are gonna love the new Market Movers app. Okay, so I gotta tell you the story of what is happening right now, show you the data, and we're gonna look at some price graphs and some data of how cards have fallen since their highs in February. I'm gonna warn you right now, this is a little ugly. So hide the kids, hide the wife, turn the lights down. This is some bad stuff that we're about to see on the screen with some of these cards. Let's start with Kobe Bryant's 1996 Topps base rookie card in PSA 10. And man, this is tough to look at. This card set its all-time high record selling price on February the 11th of this year. It sold for $10,179. And since that day, over the course of the last 4 months, this card has fallen 72.3%. It is now most recently selling at $2,816. Oof. Now, just to give this a little perspective, if we zoom out and look at a year worth of data on this card, you'll see that the card is still up considerably over the course of the year. In fact, the card has more than doubled in price over the course of the year. This drop that we just looked at over the last few months, that is a really significant drop. However, if you zoom out 6 months or you zoom out a year on most of these cards, they're still up quite a bit. But it's the last few months that has everybody concerned, and particularly if that trend continues, what could happen next? But it's not just Kobe. Let's look at the GOATs. Let's look at Michael Jordan. And here is his 1986 Fleer, that iconic Fleer rookie card. This is in PSA 9 that we are looking at right here on the screen. The all-time record sale for this card in PSA 9 was on February the 8th for $88,999. So basically $89,000. Most recently, it's selling for $24,155. That is a 73% decrease for MJ's key rookie card. Goodness gracious, that is something. And it's not just iconic basketball cards that this has happened to. It's cards across all sports. In fact, let's take a look at an iconic baseball card. Here is Ken Griffey Jr.'s 1989 Upper Deck card in PSA 10. The record sale of this price was on February 15th. This card sold for $6,223. And here we are, less than 4 months later. It most recently sold for $2,453. That is almost a 61% decline in price of that card. Also, players who are even still playing today. Let's look at some football cards as an example. Here I brought up Patrick Mahomes' 2017 Prism Silver card in PSA 10 and Tom Brady's 2000 Bowman base card in PSA 10. This Patrick Mahomes card, this card sold for $15,666 back on February the 5th. The most recent sale of that card was $9,708. That card is down 38%. Patrick Mahomes, his cards are down 38% since February, or at least this particular card of his is. And Tom Brady, this Tom Brady card peaked out on February the 8th for $16,107. And this Tom Brady card is now down at $11,000. So a pretty significant decrease there as well. So we're seeing this pattern across a lot of different cards, across a lot of different sports. And in fact, to show you the totality of this, I'm now going to switch to the price movements charts within Market Movers. In fact, I'm going to go to the sales volume by player and look at the top players in every single sport by the number of cards that are sold. And I'm looking across all of their graded cards. So here's basketball. These are all of the most popular graded cards that are sold. Zion number 1, Luka number 2, Ja number 3, LeBron number 4. Look at this column right here, the change percentage column. Look at all of the red. These are all negative drops. Zion's cards are down 31% in the last 90 days. This is all the last 90 days. Luka's cards are down 29%. Ja's cards are down 31%. LeBron's 37%. Kobe's 48%. And the list goes on. And look, it's all red. Every single basketball player is down over the last 90 days, or at least all of the most popular basketball players are down over the last 90 days. Let's switch and look at the same thing in baseball. Now, baseball actually has some players that have gone up in the last 90 days. Ronald Acuna, his cards are actually up a little bit over the last 90 days. Shohei Ohtani, his cards are up a lot over the last 90 days, and that's great to see. Same with Vlad Guerrero Jr. But a lot of guys are still down. There's still a lot of red on this list, especially as you scroll down. There's a lot more red than there is green when we're looking at all of the most popular baseball cards over the last 90 days. Let's switch to football. Football is actually the sport that overall has performed the best since February. Football cards have held up the most, but even still, there's still a ton of red. It's just that the red numbers aren't quite as big. Mahomes down 12%, Kyler Murray down 8%, Tom Brady down 14%, Justin Herbert down 31%, Barry Sanders down 33%. There is a little bit of green. Josh Allen's been going up, Baker Mayfield's been going up, Daniel Jones has been going up, but for the most part, football is red as well, just not quite as red as the other sports. Hockey, a lot of red in hockey too. There's a little bit of green in hockey. Hockey is not as bad of a tail as is basketball, but overall hockey still with a fair amount of red. And then soccer, lots of red in soccer. And some of these soccer prices have been pretty significantly down over the last 90 days. I mean, look, Messi's cards are down 35%. Ronaldo's cards are down almost 38% over the last 90 days. And when you see guys like that who are still huge name players currently playing, their cards dropping those types of percentages, you know that the market has been pretty beat up over the last few months. It's not a great sight to see. So the question is, why is this happening? And I got to tell you, a couple of weeks ago, I was at the Dallas Card Show, and this very topic was the #1 thing people were talking about. Everybody, the dealers, the people attending, the influencers, I heard so many conversations around the topic of, why are card prices dropping? Why do you think card prices are dropping? When are we going to hit the bottom? Why are prices dropping? I literally wanted to scream at everybody, just scream and say, hey, the reason why prices are dropping is because you all keep talking about prices dropping. And there's truth to that, right? You know, all markets are based on human psychology. All markets are dictated by people's perception of the market. If people are fearful, then the market's going to drop because you're going to have more people trying to sell. Some people are going to start panic selling, and you're not going to have many buyers because the buyers are going to be like, oh, I don't know. I'm not sure what's happening with the market, right? If people are confident, conversely, then the market's going to go up because people are going to be willing to put their cash in and buy more and more. For the last couple of years, for the most part, people have been confident about the sports card market. These past few months, people are fearful. And the more conversations that people are having about why are cards going down, when's the bottom going to get here, the more influencers that are talking about it, the more fear and uncertainty that is spilled into the market, and the more prices are going to drop. And so there's honestly this human angle that is spurring some of this along. Everybody is bracing for the bubble to burst. Too many people have it in the back of their mind what happened in the late 1980s and early 1990s through the junk wax era. And every single person out there who's put money into sports cards, heavy money into sports cards over the last couple of years, has had to think to themselves at some point, could this thing go bad? Could something go bad? Could this repeat in, what happened in the 1990s? And unfortunately, the fact that that is in the back of a lot of people's mind, when it starts to compound, when you start to see prices go down, then those fears come out and things start to snowball a bit. And I honestly think a lot of the drop that we're seeing now is compounded by this fact. It's compounded by the fact that humans have the tendency to act a little bit in herd mentality and have the tendency to, get really concerned about something, and that fear starts to spread. And there's a lot of fear across the sports card market right now. Now, the question is, what started this? Why did this happen to begin with? Why did people start thinking, oh, maybe I should be a little bit afraid of the sports card market? Well, because I heard so many of these conversations at the Dallas Card Show, I can tell you there's a huge list of reasons that people presented as to why this was happening. And I'm going to read you all of the different reasons that I heard right now, and you can decide which one of these you think is most right or most wrong. In fact, let me know in the comments. You might as well, because some of you are going to probably do it anyway. Let me know in the comments of these reasons which one you think is probably what got some of this fear started and got some of these prices dropping to begin with. So here's various reasons I heard. First of all, priorities and money shifting to vacations, eating out at restaurants, attending games, and other post-COVID activities. Makes sense, right? Another reason, the all-time record sales of sports cards in February then encouraged many collectors to sell their key cards or their entire collection, thus flooding the market with supply the last few months. Because prices are falling, some are now panic selling, further causing the decline. How about a lack of stars in this year's rookie classes, in particular basketball? Maybe it's because there's less government money being handed out right now. How about the fact that the summer weather is inviting more outdoor activity, pulling people away from their indoor hobbies like card collecting? Maybe it's the fact that the market is getting flooded with cards coming back from PSA's grading backlog. Or it could be that more money is being spent at card shows. People are spending money in person, and therefore less money is being spent online, and therefore you see a perception of cards falling because there's less buyer interest online as more money is being spread out across different areas and marketplaces. Perhaps there are too many new products all being released at once by the manufacturers. Maybe NBA Top Shot and NFTs pulled a lot of attention and money away from sports cards. Or maybe it was Gary V's attention shifting away from sports cards and shifting to NFTs over the last few months that caused a lot of people to exit the sports card hobby. It's worth noting that other forms of collectibles are down. So maybe people in sports cards are seeing other forms of collectibles dropping and therefore are assuming sports cards need to drop as well. Maybe it's influenced by the fact that cryptocurrency prices have been falling. Or maybe it's influenced by the fact that NBA Top Shot and NFT prices in general have been falling. Look, all of these reasons are possible reasons why this started to happen and the fear has started to build. What is the most right reason? I don't know. You probably have an opinion. You can tell me in the comments. They all sound potentially valid to me. I'm sure all of these things probably affected somebody out there and caused them to think like, ooh, I'm not going to buy any sports cards this month. In fact, maybe I'll sell some of my cards. I don't know which of those reasons is the one that caused most of this or caused the majority of this to happen, but certainly multiple things on that list contributed to this snowball beginning to occur. But I don't know that it matters why. We don't really need to play detective and analyze every single one of those things and debate what is the reason why prices have fallen. Because the truth of the matter is it doesn't matter. Prices are what they are. Prices have fallen. Humans have decided that cards are worth what they are today, not what they were worth a few months ago. So regardless of the reason why people have perceived that and the market has reacted accordingly, we are where we are. And that is the truth of the matter. The more important thing is it going to turn around? Are prices going to start to go back up? When is it okay for you to start buying cards and to feel confident in buying cards again if you haven't been buying as many cards recently? And here's the evidence that I can give you that gives me a lot of confidence in the hobby and where things are going. I can look at the hobby from an interest level. The interest level of people consuming hobby content, interacting with hobby websites, participating in breaks, looking at apps, reading articles, watching videos. And what I can tell you is that interest in the sports card hobby is at an all-time high. It has never been higher. If interest was dropping off, I would be scared. If I saw that our viewership on this show was rapidly dropping because people didn't care about sports cards anymore, if I saw that less people were using our Sports Card Investor app, that less people were subscribing to Market Movers, if I had breakers telling me that less people were buying into their breaks and tuning into their breaks, if I saw less transactions happening, then I would start to get scared. Because then I would say, you know what? People just don't care about sports cards as much today as they did a year or two ago. And therefore, prices are absolutely going to fall because there's just not that many people that care anymore to buy cards. But what I can tell you is that is not the case at all. And in fact, from where I sit, I think the exact opposite is true. I think the interest level is the highest it's ever been. And I'll just give you a few data points as to what I see and why I think this is the case. So first of all, more people bought cards through the Sports Card Investor app in May than any other month this year other than February. And May only lost to February by a tiny bit. February was the month where all the record-setting prices were happening. We actually had more transactions take place through our app in May than any other month, and it was almost as many as February. Now, the average price of a card that people bought was less than what it was in February, significantly less, because of the fact that the prices of many cards have fallen, so people can buy cards for less money now. But in terms of actual transaction volume, super strong transaction volume, there's still a lot of people buying cards right now. Our Sports Card Investor YouTube videos had the most views they've ever had in history during the month of May, and it wasn't even close. May was like multiple times our biggest month in history. Now, granted, we went out and did shows at card shows in May, so we had a different type of content, and people love the card show content. Our card show videos got a ton of views. But nonetheless, if people's interest in sports cards was starting to wane, we would not be setting record-setting numbers, multiples of the best numbers that we've ever done before. We would not be doing that if people didn't care as much about sports cards today as they did 6 months ago or a year ago. Our viewership has never been better. That gives me confidence that interest remains extremely high. Our Market Movers membership base continues to grow. Every single week, we are adding more and more people to our Market Movers membership base. Last October and November, which was the last time that we saw a dip in prices, a significant dip in prices in the sports card hobby, we saw a number of cancellations for Market Mover subscriptions. People were dropping the software because they were, maybe at that point they were less certain that they were going to stick with the hobby and continue to buy cards. This time around, despite prices falling more sharply than they did in October and November, we are not seeing that rate of cancellations. Cancellations have gone up a little bit, but nowhere near where they were during October and November of last year. Overall, our membership base continues to grow. Card shows around the country are seeing record attendance numbers, and they're incredible. The number of people pouring into card shows all over the country is like nothing we've ever seen before, even going back to the junk wax era. We have more big, healthy card shows. There are so many big card shows being planned right now for the second half of the year. In every single corner of the country, there are major shows with hundreds and hundreds of tables that are being planned to take place the second half of the year. And the National, I have heard so much buzz about the National at the end of July. It is going to be absolutely crazy. I think it's going to be the most attended National ever. I don't even think it's going to be close. So many people are going to go there. It's going to be absolutely wild and an incredible celebration of the sports card hobby. I talked to 3 breakers over the last day, the 3 of the very biggest, most popular breakers in the industry, and they're telling me that their business is steady. One of them told me that he is setting all-time sales records right now. None of them have seen any drop. They're all seeing steady, heavy business, again, with one of them setting sales records. If there was a lack of interest in cards, the breakers would be some of the first to feel it. People would not be buying into online breaks as much. They would have trouble filling breaks. They would see, viewership on their channel go down, on their breaks go down. And they're telling me that's not the case at all. And on top of all of that, we're still seeing cards, really super high-end cards, set record prices every single month. Every time there's a golden auction or a big PWCC event on eBay, we see cards sell for higher prices than they've ever sold for before. There's always records being smashed every single month, it seems. And so those cards at the extreme high end of the market, they're continuing to do well. They're continuing to break records, or not all of them, but some of them are continuing to break records and continuing to reach new ground. All of this tells me that the hobby is actually very, very strong. In fact, one might say it's stronger than it ever has been before. Interest is extremely high. Record-setting prices are being set. Card shows are coming that tons of people are going to go to and experience cards and experience that feeling in person, in many cases for the first time. I believe, as an investor, I will tell you that in any market that I invest in, if there's a lot of consumer interest, that is a great place to put investments. And that means that the startups and the businesses in that market are likely going to go on to be very successful. The sports card hobby has a ton of interest, more interest perhaps than ever before. And so to me, this price drop stuff, this is simply people being fearful. This is simply people worried that the bubble is going to burst, because of all of those reasons which I mentioned earlier. Everyone's created their own theories as to why this might not be a good time for sports cards and why sports cards are dropping in price. And so people are fearful to buy and they're eager to sell. But that price correction, dip, drop, crash, whatever you want to call it, that does not correlate with interest in the hobby waning in any way. So to me, with interest remaining high, I'm looking at these prices dropping, going, that's pretty insane. And I can tell you, I am buying more and more and more every week that goes by as those prices continue to drop. And I'm going to continue to buy more and more until they start to tick back up, which I firmly believe they will. When? I don't know. Where is the bottom? I don't know. Prices could continue to go down. Maybe they'll go down for a while. I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think we got to kind of be near a bottom point now, but I can't perfectly predict the market. Nobody can. But what I can tell you is that I'm very, very confident. I remain extremely confident in where the sports card hobby and where prices are going to be a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And as a result of that, I think now, personally, is a really good time to buy. That's my take, ladies and gentlemen. Would love to hear about what you think is going on in the sports card hobby. Let me know in the comments below. Hopefully we'll get a good conversation going. I appreciate you watching. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell icon. Man, by the way, we're getting close to 100,000 subscribers. You want to talk about interest in sports cards? There you go. We're getting close to 100,000 subscribers. So hit that subscribe button and help us get there. If you haven't already, we really appreciate it. And go download the Market Movers app from the Apple App Store. Try it out. Search for Market Movers in the Apple App Store. Let me know what you think. Appreciate it, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you back in a couple of days with our next episode. Take care.